Shalom, it's the brother Abba Buff in the DC Church, coming at you, giving all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Ashima, Shai, Ashima, Hakadash, Yahweh, the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, Shai, whom the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, by Hasheming in the name, the Calming Spirit, Kodash, the Holy. These are the names and the powers that I come to you in order to profess the 100% truth and Lord's will, still be elect faith. Shane Kabaga, Walla Rakaza, Clean out by be the devil, honor to the elders and apostles and JMS in these times, whom the Heavenly Father had enlisted the 100% truth to, and Shalom, Barak, and Mabakar, Shayasha, Allah, peace and blessings be upon the elect of the nation of Israel. Just to kind of start the video off, the title of this video is going to be Over-sexualizing Woman is a form of idolatry. And really what it is woman worship, okay? And I want to add more context to this, and Lord's will, when I get back home, I did a chat GBT search on it, and it gave some context, but I'm probably going to add some more details. But I just wanted to give the precursor video while these thoughts are fervent in my head of how they correlate and how they relate and the origin of it, and number one, I just want to start off with saying, it's beautiful to have these conversations, because the way that I thought about this video was I was on the phone with the brother from LA, the brother Kasaja. That's my man's. May the Lord be with him in the spirit. But we're just talking about various topics and how, men of this world would deal with anything from a woman and will take a woman in any condition because their priority is just sexual intercourse. And when you have a mind that over-sexualizes women, because there is a such thing as over-sexualizing women, and just because a woman is showing her ass and she's showing her breast and she's showing all of the dainty things within her or the soft things within her, it doesn't mean that you fall for the bait. You can't be like like a lion ready to devour something. You see that T-bone steak? You can't be like that, man. Every time the meat is dangled in front of you, you're always falling for these snares and these traps. And Esau set up this environment for us to be over-sexualized, and that's part of the reason why some brothers, the algorithm is crazy. I remember this one time I was at a rooftop bar, and I just met this dude, and this Jake, this cool Jake, and he go to like about to put in his. He's like, yo, take my Instagram down, and I'm about to take down his Instagram or whatever. He looks me up on Instagram, and I see nothing but just straight ass and titties on his algorithm. He just nothing but a whole bunch of women just shaking ass and me, the brother Duwada and Yakada, we just started dying, man. We started laughing like, man, yo, Jake, you need to step outside of that, man, because that's how Esau sets it up. He sets the world up. He set the world up in a way to where only a select few of men are capable of acquiring very average, mildly decent looking women. And even the ugly women, through social media, have inflated egos, because you have individuals out in the world that will inflate their ego and make them feel more beautiful than they actually are. So the standards and the dating pool for everything is destroyed. And because it's destroyed, it creates desperation. And Esau, like, desperation is Esau's MO. He plays with desperation more than he plays with anything in this world. And desperation is how men fall into this category of over-sexualizing women. Okay? And the scriptures even say, that for the Lord have created a new thing on the earth. It's in the book of Jeremiah, in the 30th chapter. I'm not sure which 30. I think it might be. I can't remember off top. And Salaki brothers, I'm gonna be quoting some precepts. But the Lord have created a new thing where it says that a woman shall compass a man. Now, the Ra'ash Kasapi breaks it down in a very specified way, where when it says a woman shall compass a man, compassing in this world has a different definition than what it's really characterized in that precept. When it means characterized, come meaning with, pass meaning to essentially circle. And you know, if you look at a compass, it's a circle. It has north, east, south, and west. So, in a roundabout way, and no pun, in a roundabout way, it literally means that a woman will oversee the man. All right? And the way that woman can oversee men is not by physical strength. It's by the things that she can do by deception. All right? And a woman can deceive a man through desperation. And all of these tie back to an origin. The scriptures talk about the curse of how, Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 54, how our fathers are going to basically leave the house. You know? He's not going to be delicate toward his brother and his neighbor and the children toward and which he shall leave. So, because we have a lot of fatherless homes, it's fostered and garnered this very gynocentric atmosphere, all right, where men are being raised by women and children are being raised primarily by women and having no sense of masculinity in their household except the ones that are taught in a feminine way. And that's part of the reason why when Jake run into conflict, the only way they know how to deal with conflict is the way that their mother taught them how to deal with conflict, which is a very feminine approach. Okay? Which is bad for everybody. Furthermore, within all that being said, because Jake hasn't been taught the fundamental rules on how to be temperate within their sexual desire. And I say this, I say this in another thing too. Being able to be depraved of certain things and accept it for what it is. You know, none of us want to deal with depravity. But the fact of the matter is that whenever you're going through pain and you run in the opposite direction, you're always going to hurt yourself more than you're going to help yourself, man. All right? And another thing too is that Jake just generally doesn't understand the factor of seasons. There are going to be seasons of your life to where the Lord allows you to indulge in an abundance of women. And then there's going to be seasons in your life to where you have to hunker down and just deal with one. And then there are going to be some seasons to where you have to deal with none. Because the story or the message in which the Heavenly Father is displaying within that season requires you to be entirely alone. Okay? And I say this too, and I've said this in videos that I've made before, that women are always going to play a factor within our life, whether we have them or whether we don't have them. All right? So your best bet is to understand, okay, this is how do I act when I have women and how do I act when I don't have women? And how am I abased and abounding with a woman, and how am I abased and abounding without a woman? You know, these are things that we have to indefinitely do. Because these are the challenges that we're going to deal with. Because no matter what, you're going to have to deal with the natural affections. The natural affections are you're going to want to procreate. And not only that, the scriptures talk about how during the time the children of Israel were in Egypt, and when more hell was put on us and more rigorous slavery was thrown on us, what happened? We multiplied, meaning we had more sex. and that's the way that Jake typically looks to cope. Now, tying this all back into the big point that, yes, you know, sometimes it's not a problem with coping with your problems with having sexual intercourse, because sexual intercourse is a thing that does make us feel physically elated, right? Or does take some stress away. But the fact of the matter is that the problem comes when it goes into over-sexualization, all right? Or overindulgence. And overindulgence typically happens when you are not temperate within your lust. Because you can have lust toward the woman that you're dealing with. You can have a sexual desire toward her, and you know, and you're ride jumping. It ain't a problem, but the fact of the matter is that it becomes a problem when it's not done in in moderation. Okay? So give me 1 second. Jake wasn't supposed to do that, but we be all right. So, to add more layers of understanding to the context of what I'm saying is Jake is accustomed to worshiping women because that's how they were born. They were born only with they were born and raised only by their mothers. So they only know this gynocentric way of thinking. And that's part of the reason why Jake will also deal with women knowing damn well that they have nothing good to offer them, because they only want one thing in return. They only want the sexual favors that a woman's willing to offer them at the cost of even their own integrity. And that's when it becomes an issue, is that Jake is sometimes, in some cases, willing to compromise their own integrity, just to receive sexual favors. Okay? And that's woman worship. Because if you're not correcting a woman, if you're with the woman and you're not capable of correcting her, you're not capable of instructing her, you're not capable of having some level of authority over her life and telling her what she can and she can't do, and if she's going to be with you, she has to live by those rules and regulations, then you're outright simping. There's no other way to call it. Because there's no way that a woman's going to be in your life and you have no authority over her. And of course, you know, we're in hell, so we're not going to have the most fervent level of authority over our women, and they still have the opportunity to do whatever the fuck they want. But the fact of the matter is that some women can recognize, women can recognize a good man and also understand good leadership, even if they're not capable of following it 100%. And some women are compliant, not just off how you physically put it down on her. Some women are compliant to the rules and regulations of what it takes to be with a man like yourself. And the thing is, you have to value yourself enough to understand what your do's and don'ts are. And if you don't value yourself, nobody else will. That's just the harsh reality about, the circumstances and situation that we're in. Okay? So, with all that being said, bringing this back to home, because really this all matters to the house of Israel, talking about the elect. This message matters to us the most, because we are the ones that have to gain control over that specific aspect of our life. Whether we're in a position of depravity or whether we're in a position of receiving in abundance, we have to make sure that we are not overindulging. Because if you overindulge, you're no better than a fucking 2/3. 2/3 will literally do anything just so they can secure sexual intercourse. That's why part of the reason why they're willing to abandon what's right and what's wrong in order to acquire it. Like dealing with a woman that has a man. We know outright that is fucking wrong. And there's no way that you can flip it that'll make it right. But a 2/3 will reason within himself and say, and give himself every excuse to say, oh, that's not my man's, That's too bad on him, and justify them doing wickedly, all to secure sexual favors. So what that really boils down to is that you're in subject to your own pleasure, and really you're idolizing woman, and you're idolizing her for the pleasure that she's capable of giving you. But at what cost? That's the real question. At what cost? At the cost of your salvation, okay? At the cost of your life. And this is another part of the conversation that me and the brother Kasaja were talking about, regarding how men will legitimately take a woman in any condition just so he can receive sexual favors of her. There's a man that I know of. Baby mother, she went out, she cheated on him. Not only did she cheat on him, but she caught diseases. Not only did she catch diseases, but she brought those diseases home. Did all these things to him. And he still, somehow, some way, doesn't give a fuck and still wants to be with that woman. That is idolization of a woman. And for what? You're willing to risk your freedom. You're willing to risk your life your health at the cost of being with a woman? And it's like, it has to be deeper than that. And it's because you're idolizing the pleasure that she's capable of giving you. And you're prizing that over the, making a rational decision. Which is part of the reason why the Heavenly Father is going to destroy a lot of you. He's going to destroy all the 2/3 because they will reason within themselves that this is I would rather have sex with this woman and destroy my life opposed to make smarter decisions with my body and with my time and not deal with this woman. And this is what perpetuates, this inflated ego from women, is that you have men that will legitimately deal with women no matter the condition, just so they can receive sexual favors. And this is part of the reason why the world is the way that it is today. It's because of that one factor. Negligence. It's crazy, man. And that indeed is women worship. No matter how you flip it, that is idolization of a woman. She can do no wrong. I'm the servant to her. That's essentially what you're saying. The scriptures tell you, give not your strength unto a woman, to set her foot upon thy substance. Your substance is your body too, brother. It's your body, your mind, your health. That's substance. Okay? And we cannot render those things to a woman to allow her to have power over that. All right? So, that's a synopsis of a kind of an abridged version of what I was going to say regarding the topic. I genuinely want to bring out the more of the details and the in-depth points that were made. Lord's will, I get a chance to do so. But I just wanted to bring out that information really quickly. So with that, I give all praise, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Shema, Shabbat, Shema, Kakadash, and Yakabaga, Walabakas, Queen Naba'ai, wa Shalom, wa Barakum, Labakan, Shia, Shalom. Until next time, I say Shalom.